Hello, Paul Chatterjee from Advanced Broadcast Technologies, here to introduce you to our next episode about the RSA Security Conference 2019 held in San Francisco. The RSA Conference is the premier conference on enterprise and small business security features and privacy technology. We have a number of interviews lined up for you today, starting with WebRoot, talking about their threat intelligence database. Following WebRoot, we're talking to Deloitte's Cyber Risk Services, and they're going to be discussing their position on IoT and industrial automation. Continuing this industrial automation security area, we have a discussion with three companies, rsac, Stealthbits Technologies, and Radiflow, which are all dealing with different technologies for embedded in IoT devices. Moving on, we're talking to Agari about their enterprise email security, which has become more important as a lot of people receive automated text messages and secondary two-factor authentication signals via email and SMS messaging. Moving to the advanced technology part, we're now talking with Quantum Exchange about their light-based optical encryption key technology, which uses a dual light stream that has a quantum encryption on it that is unhackable because observation and tapping of the key will disrupt the key and change it. And finally, with Brighterion, talking about their AI systems for behavior modeling, for doing personal security models for people's second factor authentication. So we hope you enjoy our episode. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's very nice to be here.
So what is it that you guys are highlighting at this year's show?
So every year at RSA, we spend a lot of time focused on our threat intelligence. Almost any major vendor that you see here, they actually consume and use WebRoot's threat intelligence in their network appliances to perform analytics and threat detection inside of network appliances. So we spend a lot of time meeting with and talking to our industry partners in that area.
So this means the people making switches, routers, all this network gear that have the threat management, the email devices for doing it, they're using essentially your analytics base and knowledge base as part of their equipment to provide the security solution.
That is absolutely correct. So we love this show simply because we get so many of our partners here together at one time.
So have you seen major shifts in that threat landscape now that security and privacy kind of moved to being one big issue under the regulations?
So yes, so a lot of our partners are struggling with the fact that a lot of people look at privacy as paramount at the moment, and they're using encryption across the board, and that's preventing a lot of folks to be able to properly implement network solutions, to be able to analyze that data, analyze that traffic, because it's encrypted point to point. So there's a lot of consideration we need to spend around that as an industry, because we're actually causing some detriment to our current ability to analyze and look at security measures that we've implemented because of the encryption and the privacy. And by the way, I am in no way advocating that privacy is not important. It absolutely is important, but we need to start considering what we can do to find that balance.
Yeah, my name is Sean Peasley. I'm a partner in our cyber risk practice of Deloitte, and I lead our IoT security practice for both the US and global.
So IoT is a really interesting area because it's a combination of small transactional data, and also a lot of IoT devices have video and audio in them, which is long-run data. How are you kind of approaching that for the marketplace that's out there, since IoT is a pretty general term?
So as we look at IoT, we really look at, from a cyber standpoint, cyber's everywhere. It's in the data. You've got to think about the data that you need to protect. You've got to think about the devices, the servers, the people that we need to look at and protect. And so it's in everything, all parts of our lives, whether it's our personal lives, our business lives. It's in our business to business types of transactions. And as we approach the IoT, we think of it fairly broadly. We think of it in a number of different areas. We look at the industrial IoT. So think of things like factories and smart factories and public utilities and connected oil rigs. So it's fairly broad when you think of industrial IoT. We also think of areas like the connected vehicle. So now we're getting connected vehicles and autonomous vehicles, and they're very, very sophisticated. Some of the most sophisticated devices that we have on the planet, upwards of 100 to 200 million lines of code. That's what we think about from a connected vehicle. We look at medical devices, so those medical devices that have embedded systems and software and connectivity, and all the ecosystems that go around with all these products. And then, lastly, another big area is around smart cities, so smart infrastructure, and those are going to be really connecting to the areas of future mobility. So if it's infrastructure communicating with connected vehicles or autonomous vehicles, all of that is how we look at IoT, and you have other things around consumer products, etc. So really, I think from an IoT security standpoint, we are at really the early days of thinking holistically about how do we secure the IoT, from sensors all the way through to communication, going up to the cloud, coming back and maybe physically, some sort of physical decision being made to change maybe the direction that the car is going to move, or some sort of setting in an infusion pump as an example. So we need to really consider cyber and security of all those elements. So we think of an end-to-end, included in everything, kind of aspects of how are we protecting all this. And a couple of key things that we really are, helping our clients with. Thinking about cyber from the outset, as you design, as you research and you design a product or you develop a product, whether it's an infusion pump or a pacemaker, how do you make sure that cyber is developed from the outset?
Hi there, pleasure to be here. My name is Ilan Barda. I'm the CEO of Radiflow. Radiflow is here in San Francisco in the RSA 2019, part of the Israeli pavilion. We are providing cybersecurity for industrial automation, which is quite a new area in terms of all of this IT market.
So one of the things that has been a discussion point for security is everybody thinks IoT and industrial automation are the same thing.
So IoT is, of course, a very broad word. So you have IoT in different segments, in the home, in the consumers, in all kinds of applications for the mass production. Industrial IoT or industrial automation are the applications used by the industrial enterprises, like the oil companies, the water companies, the refineries, and so on, where they are using a lot of IoT devices, a lot of more sensors, a lot of more controllers to automate and improve their operational efficiencies, but it's used as part of their bigger industrial process.
In that area for the security, what most people think of for industrial or commercial for security is data loss. But in the industrial automation, it's also downtime on the factory and data flow and continuity.
So of course, for manufacturing, the most important thing is availability. You want to keep manufacturing whatever you are doing, whether it's power or oil and gas, you want to keep doing it all the time. This is money eventually, not just in terms of compliance, this is money. And this is the most important thing that our products are monitoring the industrial automation networks and making sure that nobody is trying to insert some malware that will impact this availability. So everything that we are monitoring is very much focused on making sure that there is no intruder in the network that will be able to impact the availability of the operational process eventually.
Sure, well, thank you. So we are launching a pretty new concept, which we're calling the application memory firewall. And our company is unique in focusing on protecting applications as they're running, as they're executing, actually looking what the code is doing as opposed to what bad stuff might be coming in. We're making sure the application only does the right thing that it's supposed to.
So if you're targeting that memory space, does it work across multiple devices, laptops and things, or is it just for cell phones or tablets?
So we actually focus on the server side, critical applications within an enterprise. We're working with companies like Raytheon in government and private sector projects, working in critical infrastructure, industrial control systems, as well as banks and healthcare. So it's on the enterprise server side or cloud, whichever they're using.
So one of the things that's common between those customers you're talking about is they're all high availability clients. So it's downtime is their number one issue. Is that kind of what you're seeing that you developed this product to address?
Yeah, in fact, downtime is an issue and so is patching, and the two often go hand in hand. And most companies don't want to admit that they're way behind on patching or patching is problematic. The industrial control sector, there are lots of applications that are simply unpatchable. So very much part of this in that these applications need to keep running and they need to run safely in imperfect environments. That's why we are assuming there might be memory corruption, there might be fileless attacks coming in, but we make sure we take a snapshot at the memory level of what the application is allowed to do, and then within microseconds we can spot any deviation, and that's a positive sign of an attack.
So first of all, welcome, and what's new and exciting?
Great, thanks Paul, thanks for having me. Darren Pendergraft with Stealthbits. What we're showing here at the show is our business software that helps protect user credentials and data. So when cyber attackers get into a system, they're really looking to find that sensitive data. They want patient information or financial records, and that's what they want to steal. Or sometimes they want to use malware to encrypt. So what Stealthbits does is we actually find that data and allow businesses to secure it so no one can steal it or encrypt it.
So by encrypting it, that's what's commonly referred to as ransomware, where they're locking the data and say you have to pay money to be able to get it re-released again. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. Ransomware starts out when someone clicks on a link and they will open something, it'll execute, it'll take over a user's PC, and then it'll run software that starts an encryption algorithm, and basically you lose access to all the files on your PC. And what Stealthbits does is we're able to detect a lot of that early indication that there's some malware acting on a PC, and we're able to lock that down and prevent it from spreading out.
So in your software for doing that and recognizing it, one of the places that's been a challenge for these companies is active data versus backup. And that is when things are going in, if they start backing up and the data's been encrypted or been infected, but it hasn't triggered yet, does your software deal with anybody who's got these online backups and all of this technology in place?
That's a great question. Stealthbits focuses on what we call structured data, and that's data inside applications, databases, and backups. And unstructured data, which is when someone exports data out of an application and saves it onto Dropbox or saves it onto SharePoint Online or something like that. And Stealthbits is able to find that data no matter where it's at, whether it's on premises in the company data center or whether it's out inside of a collaboration service like a web collaboration service. We're able to find it and help companies understand who's got access to that data and if that access is appropriate or not. And if it's not appropriate, we can help them put security controls around it to make sure only the right people get access to the data.
We're taking a little bit of a change from the regular just open security and privileged access control. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about the quantum computing and how that's going to be impacting the sector. So can you give us a little introduction on who you are and what it is your company's doing?
Sure. I'm John Prisco, and I am the CEO of Quantum Exchange. And we're not doing anything with quantum computers, but we're providing a defense against them. Because as you probably know, quantum computers are going to be able to crack RSA keys Right now they have cracked some small keys, but once there's a quantum supreme computer, it will be able to crack any RSA key in a matter of minutes. So in order to prevent that from happening, we provide a service over optical fiber called quantum key distribution. So a quantum key is like a cryptographic key, except that it's made from light. And because the key is made from light, if someone tries to steal the key or eavesdrop on the key, that mere action changes the quantum state of the key, the photons that make up the key, and the key becomes useless. So it's really an unbreakable way to transfer a key from point A to point B and to secure communications.
So the quantum side of it is the fact that light behaves with a lot of the quantum phenomena when you interact with it, either being a particle or a wave and having a duality, versus regular electricity with 0 and 1 data bits, which are always definitely a 0 or a 1.
Correct. Right, and in our case, we're encoding single photons with ones and zeros, and we do that based on either polarization of each photon or phase shift of each photon. So if you try to observe a photon in this state, you'll scramble its quantum state. A 1 may become a 0, or a phase shift of 90 degrees may become a phase shift of 180 degrees. In any event, the key won't work if somebody tries to intercept it.
So for that, does this mean that they're going to be really huge key lengths because light travels fast? Or is it going to be something traditional that people are used to managing in like a human factor, like under 2,000 bits or something like that?
Actually, the key lengths will be quite small. They'll be about 256 bits. And with Shor's algorithm, that'll cut it in half. But still, it's impossible to steal the key without changing it. So the key length doesn't have to be huge.
We're continuing some of the advanced topics in the security and enterprise area, now switching over to talking about AI. And we have can you introduce yourself and kind of tell us what your company is doing in this area?
So hello, my name is Akli Ajute, and the company is Brighterian, and what we do is what we call mission critical AI.
So mission critical layout sounds like it's either for industrial automation where it can't fail, or it's for high valued continuous time like financial access control and other things. Which kind of area are you addressing, or both?
You said it better than me. It's actually both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's exactly what you said. Mission critical means something that need to be scalable, resilient, and where you cannot be out of system. So, like we manage over 75 billion transactions in fraud, our system when it comes to risk, but also in cybersecurity. So it's exactly the way you said it. It's what we call as mission critical is something that need to be live 24/7, 365.
So this is from the financial side, things like credit card transaction, bank-to-bank transfer, people who are doing electronic transfer from their phone, because this is no longer an 8-to-5 business. It's a 24/7 global business, and it also has to cross boundaries.
Absolutely. You have to, as you said, today the way people do payments is, you can use your phone. Pretty much people don't even go to the bank anymore because everything you can do it online. It's again what you just said is allowing people to have more flexibility, being in the 21st century, allowing people to do the banking from their home, from their phone. For that you need a system that's secure and also provide the best service, because you don't need a system that declines customers or stop them. So a system that provide value with less frictions.
So in that respect, historically these mission critical systems were based on sociological rules that said this is how people behave, this is how they do things. But now that there's 24-hour connectivity in all of this interface, I don't think a lot of those behavioral habits are defined. Is that why the AI system is there to kind of learn how people are doing these things and determine what's normal versus what's bad?
Now I understand that you are an AI, so you understand that. I think that's probably the core of our business. So as you said, like I have a wife and 2 kids. Everyone in my family has a different behavior. So you can't even write rules that manages my family because I have 2 college students, my wife, and as you said, see how many thousands of people are here. Everyone has its own behavior. So you can't have a set of rules that would take care of everyone. So we are at the time of personalization, which means that everyone has to be different. And this is why you have to have an AI that learns the behavior of people to be able to understand them. So personalization will allow you to provide the best service while protecting your customers.
We're talking to Agari, so welcome. Can you give us a little bit about who you are and what it is Agari does?
Absolutely. So I'm Armin Najarian, Chief Marketing Officer with Agari. And at a very high level, Agari keeps bad stuff out of your inbox, specifically the most advanced threats that are devastating organizations and eroding brands worldwide.
So I saw that the sign's not come out, so it's doing email defense. Are you a software appliance, a hardware appliance, and what's kind of new that you're bringing out this year and to deal with the threat landscape?
Yeah, so we are 100% software, specifically software as a service, and we plug into your mail provider. And so we work very closely with Office 365 as an overlay on top of that, as the next defense for advanced threats. And just to give you a flavor, so you've probably heard of terms like business email compromise, spear phishing, account takeovers. These are the devastating attacks that sophisticated attackers have developed over the years. And the legacy controls just haven't been able to combat those. We've developed a better mousetrap and are able to stop those things in the moment from hurting your business.